Today I want to talk a little about the tremendous public realm improvements that have taken place in London in recent years. It's hard to imagine that here on the Strand, until a year or so ago, was full of traffic, enormous amounts of traffic. And then it was discovered that if you moved the traffic to the Aldwych, which was smashed through in the early 20th century, you could have this fantastic pedestrian space. So for the first time in its history, we now have a piazza here, and it's just glorious. The number of people walking, the number of people sitting and lingering, and the way you can see Somerset House dating from the late 18th century, and the wonderful Grade 1 building of the Strand, St Mary's Strand, for the first time can be enjoyed in all its true glory. Here we see a different kind of improvement, where traffic has been restricted on Wellington Street, so one should have a smooth journey from Strand Aldwych to Covent Garden. This section is great, but as we go on, we'll see where we really need further improvements to link up the great achievement at the Strand and at Covent Garden. Let's walk on and just see where we need to change. I'm now at the end of the traffic-free section or car-free section of Wellington Street and looking north towards Covent Garden. Riddled with parked cars. Obviously there's some need for loading, but surely many of the spaces could be removed. We could have rain gardens. This could be a really lovely walk, linking up the great piazzas at Covent Garden and the Strand. Should we really be giving so much space to the very, very small number of people who drive into central London rather than take public transport, walk or cycle? So this section of the film is, alas, about areas requiring improvement. Behind me is Tavistock Street, but just look at the enormously wide junction, the difficulty of pedestrians crossing it. It inevitably says vans, cars have priority, pedestrians wait, you cross at your peril. We really need to tighten up these radii. On the other side is the Transport Museum, the back end of the Transport Museum. Is this, given what a major form of transport walking is, the main mode of transport in central London, should it be in such a traffic-filled hell? No. It deserves better. And the celebration of walking as a mode of transport deserves better. You can see ahead the Royal Opera House with its glorious portico. But should this be a major rat run? Should it be full of traffic? Should people coming out of the opera go into a pollution-filled street? Or could there be a glorious piazza here? I leave the question with you. I'm now in King Street, Covent Garden. We've left behind the misery of Bow Street, been through the great Covent Garden piazza, saved from a motorway in the 1970s. Gosh, what would it have been like if they'd built that monstrosity? And now in King Street, pedestrianised a few years ago, with lovely greenery, places to sit outside and have a cup of coffee. Of course, we're here about 10:30, and you do get access for deliveries and sometimes for public works, but most days the vehicles leave after they've made their delivery, and this becomes a pedestrian paradise. And I understand that footfall has increased enormously since the time when it was a normal, dull, busy road. And it's important to remember that there are many more pedestrians in this area who will be spending money than the very small number of drivers who might want to come here and park. The pedestrian pound is really important. And there's nothing like a fine public realm for bringing in those pedestrian pounds. On King Street, or just off King Street to the north, is a new development, Floral Court. One of the great things about this development is that it provides a walking route and new public space. It increases accessibility. We want to see more of this. If only most developments could include better new walking routes, what a good thing it would be. We're crossing over from King Street and continuing to film going westwards. But what I'd like to note here is what a good job the council has done with the zebra crossing. It is really quite near the desire line. How tragic it is that so many zebra crossings involve a diversion from the desire line for pedestrians. So I say, well done, Westminster. We've moved on from King Street to New Row, continuing on our lovely pedestrianised journey. And note, even though it's relatively early in the morning, there are pedestrians everywhere. How they love what's created. This is just wonderful, and we need more of it. We're leaving pedestrianised New Row, and we're now in St Martin's Lane, an ancient street. Across the road is St Martin's Court, long pedestrianised, and that continues a route through to Leicester Square, showing the real importance of pedestrianised routes and the quality of the whole link. Historic St Martin's Lane. Buildings here since the 17th century. Cafes for artists, one called a cafe on the pavement, indicating one of London's earliest pavements. On the way to the beautiful church of St Martin in the Fields, the Colosseum here too, traffic calmed, but now in need of its next step, which is to remove the parking, broaden the pavements, perhaps have some rain gardens. Of course, deliveries are always welcome, but it's a nice place to walk now. It could be a glorious place. We're now at the junction of Long Acre, St Martin's Lane, and really this is the saddest part of the journey. Don't worry, the film will soon show you many fabulous things, but this is a sewer into which all the traffic in Covent Garden comes. But does it need to be so wide, so many lanes for traffic? Perhaps not. I'm standing beside the Shelton Street rat run. Anyone going from High Holborn to Leicester Square or Trafalgar Square is recommended by the algorithms to drive through Shelton Street in the great rat run that survives in Covent Garden. Most of the others have been shut off, but Covent Garden should be a place where people go for deliveries, not used as a rat run to avoid the main roads like High Holborn. In a film which celebrates the exciting new things in central London, perhaps we've dwelt too long on where improvement continues to be needed. But now we're coming on to a terrific achievement. All praise to Camden Council in this case. A lovely walking route through Seven Dials and up to Monmouth Street. This is just terrific. So many more people walking. I remember in my younger years, very long ago, when this was a major rat run. There were few people on the street, but now it's transformed and made even better by not only restricting traffic, but by the cobbles. The one regret, of course, is the utilities, who whenever they dig up the road, seem content to not replace the sets, but to stick in a bit of dull asphalt. Shame on you, utility companies. Let's progress. We're now in Monmouth Street, continuing our joyful walk. Behind me, note one of Camden's streeteries. These are a remarkable innovation, and all credit to the council, where parking spaces have removed. I think there are probably still too many in Monmouth Street, but they've been replaced by these lovely areas to sit and dwell and drink coffee. I'm now outside Tottenham Court Road Station on the Elizabeth line in another wonderful new piece of public realm. An extraordinary and wonderful vision of those who developed the Elizabeth line. They decided, as they created this great new line, linking up Reading and parts far to the east, that the stations and the line should be a matter of the whole journey to the station, not just how you get round the station. And so we have this fantastic piazza, which takes you right across what was once a road. It's hard to believe that at centre point behind me, there was once a hideous gyratory when it was built. A roundabout to speed traffic on its way, but inevitably just leading to more traffic and more jams. Look now, and behind me you can see how you can move effortlessly from the tube station straight across into Soho and another exit from the Elizabeth line. Prince's Circus, another highlight of the tour. A new bit of space as part of the West End project. Greenery, planting, places to sit without having to have a cup of coffee, as I am now. It is extraordinary to think that not so very long ago, this was a busy road, one of many in the vicinity. The traffic has now been put onto one road, and there's a route for pedestrians to walk with relatively ease, the relatively short walk from the National Gallery to the British Museum. And if you're old, like me, a place en route to pause and sit and enjoy this fantastic improvement. One of the joys of the new pedestrianised walking route is there's so much to see. Rather than feeling intimidated, dominated by motor traffic, you can look around and look up. And in this case, realise wonderful little visions. Here we have a statue on the top of the great Hawksmoor Church of St George's, Bloomsbury. It's a statue of George I. But the pyramid below is based on how Hawksmoor imagined the mausoleum of Halicarnassus looked. And if you want, you can go in the British Museum and see the real statue of Mausolus from his monument in Halicarnassus. Is this Paris? No, it's Bloomsbury. But the cafes spread out on the streets make you think you could be in the heart of the French capital. What a joy to see this transformation. May we have more of it. I'm standing here next to the British Museum. I was going to say that Great Russell Street here is a national disgrace. In fact, it's an international disgrace. It's horrific. We are next to one of the world's greatest cultural institutions. But anybody wanting to walk there has to wade through this absolute hell, this sewer of traffic. I know Camden have plans to reduce traffic as part of the whole scheme for Holborn, but really bring it on soon. As this film shows, we've been able to enjoy so many great improvements that London councils and others have been making in recent years. There's more to do, as we can see on Bow Street, but the transformations of Strand Piazza, Covent Garden, King Street, Prince's Circus, the Tottenham Court Road Piazza are all fantastic achievements, enabling Londoners to enjoy walking to sit, to dwell, to linger, and to all together have a happier time, making London an even greater place.